Start na. Good morning, sir. We are the Group 5. Sa amin po na-assign yung sugar and rice manufacturing. So for the first po, yung sugar manufacturing processes, sa akin po na-assign I'm Heinz Vincent M. Lagura. So yung una po na question is where the sugar came from? Nahati po siya sa tatlo, which is yung grow, mill, and refine. For the grow, uh, for the first question po for grow is, what is sugar? Sugar. Table sugar is made up of sucrose and disaccharide of one glucose unit and one fructose unit. Sucrose has the chemical formula of C12H22O11. What is it made? In other parts of the world, sugar may be derived from cane, beet, palm trees, and maple trees. Sugarcane is tropical grass which can grow to around 3 to 4 meter tall, similar to bamboo. To grow well, sugarcane needs warm, sunny weather, well-drained and fertile soil, and lots of water. Sugar is made in the leaves of plant by photosynthesis. Energy from the sun transforms carbon dioxide and water into oxygen and glucose with the aid of sunlight. The plant absorbs water through its roots and O2 through pores in its leaves. The chlorophyll in the plant's leaves helps to trap energy from the sun needed to kickstart this process. Excess energy that the plant doesn't need is stored as sugar. It is fibrous stalks as wet juice. It is juice that is harvested to produce raw sugar when the plant is ripe and mature. The growing process, which is planting. Most sugarcane is grown on family-owned and operated farms. Sugarcane is grown by replanting 40 centimeter length of mature cane, which are called sets. So sets are planted by machines, which drop them into furrows and fertilizer and cover them with soil. The crop that arises from this process is called a plant crop. The growing process. Within 2 to 4 weeks of planting, new shoots will start to break through the soil. These shoots came from buds on the joints and sets planted. Each set can shoot around 12 stalks, which forms what is called a stool. Sugarcane will also grow a ratoon crop from regrowth or stubble. During harvesting, the roots and lower section of the plant are left in the ground. These then reshoot and produce a second, third, fourth, or even fifth crop depending on the health of the roots. Next is harvesting. Harvesters cut the cane stalks off at the base and chops it into 30 centimeter length called billets. The billets are collected by second vehicle which drives beside the harvester. In most areas, the unwanted leaves are chopped up and blown out of the harvester to cover the ground as the thick layer of mulch ready to nourish the next crop. Next is transport. Once cut, the sugarcane is transported to the mills within 16 hours, either by road or by rail, in mill bins, which go directly to the allocated mill. Next is yield. 1 hectare of land will typically produce around 93 tons of cane. This much cane will then produce 12 tons of raw sugar. Up to 35 million tons of cane is produced each year in Australia, equaling around 4.6 million tons of raw sugar. For the next one, meal po. Magpa-present po is si Pike.
So for the mill po, I am Pike Sich Perez para i-report po yung milling process. So for the milling process, una pong ginagawa is weigh. Sugar can billet arrive at the mill where each load is weighed by automatic weigh station. Next po na gagawin is shred. is tipped onto a cane carrier and taken to the shredder. The shredder chops and shred the cane, rupturing the juice cells. Ang susunod po is yung third step is crush. The cane is then crushed by a series of rollers. The rollers are arranged into triangle formation. This process produces sugar juices in bags. The dry pulpy residue after the juice is extracted. After po nun is clarify. Lime is added to the extracted juice which is then heated to remove impurities. The lime neutralizes acids and precipitates impurities in large vessels called clarifiers. The clear sugar juice is run off the top of each clarifier. The muddy juice at the bottom of the clarifier is extracted, mixed with buggies, and sent back to the farms as fertilizer. Next po is concentrate. The clear juice is concentrated by boiling under a vacuum into a syrup. After po nun is crystallized. The syrup is further concentrated and seeded with the small sugar crystals. The sugar crystals then grow to the required size. Once they reach the correct size, the crystals and remaining syrup are discharged from the pan. After po nun is centrifuge. The syrup and crystals are separated by spinning at high speed in centrifugals. The dark syrup is thrown off and passes through perforations in the machine. The spin-off syrup is boiled down again, often multiple times, to get the maximum number of crystals. The final syrup is molasses. After po nun is dry. The crystals are dried by tumbling them through a stream of hot air in rotating drum. And then it's storage. The raw sugar which is not food grade is stored or transported from the mill. So sa milling po, because sugar cane needs to be transported to the mills within a short time frame after it is harvested. The mills are located in the sugar growing areas. Sugar mills crush the cane to extract and separate the sucrose from the water, impurities, and plant fibers contained in the billet. Mills typically run from June to December each year. This can change depending on the weather. The sugar produced from a sugar mill is not food grade. The raw sugar from a mill must go through a refining process until it's suitable for consumption for human consumption. The byproducts from the milling process can be made into many other products, some of which are listed on the right. Sugarcane is also the only crop in the world that can provide its own processing energy. The bagasse produced after the crushing stage is used to make electricity. During the crush season, mills actually put electricity back into the grid rather than taking it.
Third pong process is refine. By the way, I'm Crystal Belsoner po. Next. The purpose of sugar refining is to convert non-food grade raw sugar into food grade consumer products and manufacturing raw material. Refining process. The first is unload and store. Sugar arrives at the refinery and is transported to a bulk raw sugar store. These stores can often hold tens of thousands of tons of sugar in large piles. Trap doors in the floor release the sugar at a controlled rate onto conveyor belts, which take the sugar to the main refinery areas. Second is affination. Raw sugar is mixed with hot concentrated syrup. This process is called affination and softens the hard molasses coating on the outside of raw sugar crystals. When the mixed syrup and crystals are spun at high speeds in a centrifuge, they separate. Hot water is sprayed during this process to help force the syrup and impurities through the holes in the basket. The remaining sugar crystals are affined raw sugar crystals. This process removes around 50% of the color from raw sugar. Third is melting. The affined raw sugar is dissolved in hot or recycled water at 80 degrees to form sugar liquor or melter liquor. The sugar content of this liquor is 65 to 68%. The sugar liquor is passed through a coarse screen to remove large particulate matter. The fourth process is purification. There are several purification processes used in refining. The two main ones are carbonation and phosphatation. First is carbonation. Lime is added to the liquor and carbon dioxide is bubbled through the mixture. The lime and carbon dioxide react to form a chalk of calcium carbonate. Color impurities cling to the chalk, which then acts as a filter aid as the liquor is passed through further filters. The second is phosphatation. Lime and phosphoric acid are added to the liquor and fine bubbles of air are introduced along with a flocculant before the mixture is fed into a large clarifier. The lime and acid react to form a calcium carbonate scum, which the flocculant binds together as it attaches itself to the air bubbles and is floated off the top. The scum removes color impurities and small particulate matters as it forms and floats. Fifth process is decolorization. The filtered sugar is passed through either activated carbon or ion exchange resin, which acts as a scavenger, removing organic and other residual material, further filtering and decolorizing the liquor. Next process is evaporation. Excess water is removed from the liquor by passing it through a triple effect evaporator. This concentrates the liquor for 65% sugar content to 75 to 78% sugar content in an energy efficient way. Seventh process is sterilization. At this stage, the liquor is very clear. It is passed through UV light sterilizer to make the sugar solution sterile. Eighth is the crystallization. The liquor is moved to vacuum pans where it is seeded to grow the right size sugar crystals. Flash evaporation and boiling the liquor in a vacuum pan allows the solution to boil at a lower temperature, reducing color formation and produces sugar crystals of desired size. The ninth process is refined fugals. The solution moves to its final centrifuge. The refined fugals remove the syrup and wash the white sugar crystals. The syrup is either returned to the pans to grow more or concentrated so it can be used to produce soft brown sugar, coffee crystals, golden syrup, or treacle. The 10th process is drying. The excess moisture in the white sugar is removed by a stream of warm dry air in a rotary dryer. The 11th process is conditioning. The sugar from the dryers is conditioned to improve its storage capabilities. This is also done in a conditioning silo where the sugar is kept in continual movement and the humidified air is passed through it. The last process in sugar manufacturing is storage or packing. The final product is then stored, transported, or packaged into retail product. That's all for the sugar refinery.
Next is I'm Jerome Elnar, and for the rice manufacturing process, next. Where does rice comes from? And this is the steps for processing rice. First is the preparation. Next. Uh, First is the preparation. Second, planting. Next is harvesting. Next is drying. Next step is cleaning, hulling, and milling. Next. For the raw materials, next. The only raw material needed for commercial production of rice are the following. First is the rice seed or seedlings. Yung rice seed ay unang pinaplant. Rice seed is ay unang pinaplanta sama-sama sa isang planted paddy and grows into seedling that will be transplanted into many paddy fields. Next. Next is herbicides, also commonly known as weed killers. Ito yung substance na toxic sa plants at ginagamit ito pang-destroy ng unwanted vegetation. Next. Next is pesticide. Other organism na nakasira ng pananim. Next. Back. For fertilizer are chemical substance supplied to the crops to increase the productivity, and these are used by the farmers daily to increase the crop yield. The fertilizers contain the essential nutrients required by the plants, including nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. Next.
Um, Good morning po. This is Ella May Maaba po for the second process for rice manufacturing, which is preparation. So yung unang step po for preparation process is the land preparation, which is important to ensure that the rice field is ready for planting. A well-prepared field controls weeds, recycles plant nutrients, and provides a soft soil mass for transplanting and suitable soil surface for direct seeding. Itong land preparation po typically involves plowing, harrowing, and leveling the field. Bale, sinisimulan po ito usually after the last harvest period, which generally takes 3 to 4 weeks before the field, to prepare the field before planting. Next step po is yung water management. For water management, it may be irrigated or rain-fed. Yung bali po, yung rice paddies are continuously flooded up to 7 to 10 days before harvest. Ito po yung ilang water management practices. Yung una po is to construct field channels to control the flow of water to and from your field. Prepare the land to minimize water loss and create a hard pan. And next po is yung level the field and construct plants and repair any cracks or holes. Next po. Ang last step po is yung paggamit ng crop calendar, which is a schedule for rice growing season. This allows farmers to plan for input purchase and use, develop cash flow budget for year, determine need, credit, and period requirement, determine labor requirements, and plan for peak usage times, and organize contractors for land preparation and harvesting. Ang next process naman po is the planting process. Next. So there are various planting methods which include direct seeding, transplanting, and aerial seeding. In direct seeding, the plants are not subjected to stress such as being pulled from the soil or establishing fine rootlets. However, they have more competition from weeds. Bali, under this method po is the direct seeding and broadcasting or drilling. Sa dry direct seeding, it is usually practiced for rain-fed and deep water ecosystems. In this method, the farmers sow onto dry soil surface, then incorporates the seed either by plowing or harrowing. The other method naman po is through broadcasting or drilling seeds, which is done in wet fields where the seeds are sown with a drum seeder. For the transplanting method, it is usually practiced as a method of weed control for wet or puddled fields. This requires less seed, but much more labor compared to direct seeding. Under this method naman po yung manual and mechanical transplanting. Sa manual transplanting, it can be done in either random or straight row method. Sa random method, wala pong definite distance or space between the plants, while sa straight row method naman po may uniform spacing or pattern. Sa mechanical transplanting naman po, it requires less time and labor than manual transplanting. Usually, 1 hectare of land requires 1 person a day to establish. And then last, aerial seeding, which by larger enterprises. Dito po gumagamit sila ng low-flying planes na nagdi-distribute ng seeds sa flooded fields.
Next is harvesting. Next. Once the plants have reached full growth and the grains begin to ripen, ay pwede na itong i-harvest. Yung mga tuktok ng mga grains is nagsisimula ng tumumba at ang mga tangkay is nagiging kulay dilaw. Then the water is drained from the fields. As the fields dry, yung grains ay nare-ripen further and harvesting is commenced. Next. Depending on the size of the operation and the amount of mechanization, rice is either harvested by hand or machine. By hand, ang mga tangkay ng palay ay pinuputol ng matalim na kutsilyo o karit. Yung mga kasanayang ito ay nangyayari pa rin sa maraming bansa ng Asia katulad sa Pilipinas. Ang palay maaari ding anihin sa pamamagitan ng mga malalaking traktora na taga-ani na hinihila o makina na hinihila ng mga kalabaw o kabayo na nagpuputol at nagsasalansan ng mga tangkay ng palay. Sa ibang bansa, karamihan sa mga operasyon nila ay gumagamit ng mga malalaking traktora na kombinasyon na ng pag-harvest at paghihiwalay ng mga butil sa mga tangkay ng palay. Next. Threshing is completed by flailing the stalks using mechanized thresher. Yung threshing ay yung isang proseso ng hiwalay na nakakain ng bahagi ng butil mula sa dayami kung saan ito nakakabit. Ito yung hakbang na paghahanda ng butil pagkatapos anihin. Yung threshing ay hindi nag-aalis ng bran or yung husk ng butil. Next.
So I am Carl Kathleen de Guzman po. So this is the process of drying. So next. So sa drying process, dito din natin makikita sa Pilipinas or sa mga bansa dito sa Asia, yung inilalatag nila sa isang field yung mga palay para matuyo. So before milling, rice grains must be dried in order to decrease the moisture content to between 18 to 22%. This is done with artificially heated air or more often with the help of naturally occurring sunshine. Rice grains are left on racks in fields to dry out naturally. Once dried, the rice grain, now called rough rice, is ready for processing. Next.
I am John Marty D. Carlos po for cleaning process. So sa cleaning process po ay yung pagse-separate po ng paddy sa small and large particles po. Kasi po kung galing po siya ng drying, especially ng mechanical and traditional way, marami pong particles na sumasama. Especially po pag traditional way kasi po exposed sa environments such as the sand, dayami, and pebbles po. So for the process para sa mechanical is first, the paddy is passed over the screen to remove the large particles such as the straw and strings. Next is passing through the next screen, which is having smaller perforation to eliminate smaller particles such as the sand. The paddy are passed through the magnetic separator to remove the metal particles. Yung metal particles po ay pwedeng makuha due to pag-harvest po gamit yung mga machines. Next. Ito po yung dalawang way ng pag-clean. Isa po ang traditional way or manual cleaning. Next is yung paggamit po ng machine. So sa traditional way, commonly used po ay yung screen po or pagbibistay. Next process is haling po. So dito po sa haling is yung pagse-separate naman po ng palay doon po sa balat niya or sa hull. The shelling machine loosens the hull from the rice by rolling between the two sheets of metal coated with abrasive. 80 to 90% of the kernel hulls are removed during the process. Next po. So, katulad din po ng ibang process is meron din pong traditional at mechanical way para maghal. Una po yung traditional way, yung pagpupukpok po ng paddy. Next is yung nilalagay po yung paddy sa mismong shell machine or rice huller para ma-separate ang hull sa mismong paddy.
So the next process is the milling. So dito sa milling, since it retains the outer brown layers of rice grain, brown rice needs no other processing. However, along with added vitamins and minerals, the bran layers also contain oil that makes brown rice spoil faster than the milled white rice. That is one of the reasons why brown rice is milled further to create a more visually appealing white rice. So paano nga po ba 'yon ginagawa? So next. Una, the brown rice runs through two huller machines that remove the outer bran layers from the grain. With the grains pressed against the inner wall of the huller and a spinning core, the bran layers are rubbed off. The core and inner wall move closer for the second hulling, ensuring removal of all bran layers. Next. Next, the now light colored grain is cooled and polished by a brush machine. Then lastly, the smooth white rice is conveyed to a brewer's reel, where over a wire mesh screen, broken kernels are sifted out. Oftentimes, the polished white rice is then coated with glucose to increase luster.
So last is the grain quality. Grain quality is defined by several factors such as the physical appearance and smell of the paddy. So after po ng process na to is yung grain quality. Dito po malalaman kung mataas pa ang moisture content or pasado po sa mismong market. Kasi po kung masyadong mataas or mababa ang moisture content, bali hindi po siya binibili sa market kasi hindi po siya pwedeng pang-stock. Next naman po is yung mismong bigas na kung durug-durug po, eh may problema na po yun sa milling process. Next is the smell. Minsan po kasi yung ibang smell ng bigas is hindi siya kaaya-aya. Kaya po yung minsan, yung ibang mamimili ay inaamoy muna yung product bago ito bilhin. So ayun lang po ang presentation po namin para po sa rice and sugar manufacturing. Thank you po.